Oh, you couldn't sleep either, hmm? I had a feeling. You know the strange thing about the night. It never seems surprised to see us. People expect sleep to arrive simply because the clock says it should. As though the mind has never respected clocks. You see, I've always thought clocks rather arrogant, aren't they? Imagine believing you could divide eternity into tiny numbers, then become irritated when your heart refuses to follow the schedule. No. The mind always kept stranger hours than the body. Perhaps that's why we're here again. Two insomniacs, just borrowing a little silence from the universe. Now, I've been thinking about masks. Not the painted kind, you understand. Those are easy. Paint, it washes away. The dangerous masks, they're the invisible ones. They're lighter than air. Yet somehow, they're heavy enough to carry for a lifetime. It's funny. Nobody ever remembers putting them on. They simply wake up one day already wearing them. Have you ever noticed that? Nobody says, today I'm gonna become someone else. It happens so gradually that the transformation feels like memory. A child is told, don't be so loud. Then they're told, be sensible. And then they're told, don't embarrass yourself. And then they're told, act your age. One sentence after another, after another. Tiny threads. And they're harmless on their own. Until eventually, you look down and realize those tiny threads, well, they've become ropes. The thick kind. The ones that burn your fingers if you slide down them too quickly. The remarkable thing is most prisons, they aren't built from stone. No. They're built from expectations. invisible walls, invisible locks, those little suspicious invisible guards. The cleverest prisons, they always are, because if you can't see the walls, well then you stop trying to leave. You know what I wonder? I wonder how many people have smiled today because they genuinely felt joy. And how many smiled because somebody was watching. You know, there's a difference, right? A tremendous difference. One begins in the heart. The other, well, that one begins in the mirror. Mirrors. Strange inventions. See, people believe mirrors tell the truth. I disagree. Mirrors, they only show what the light can reach. They know nothing about grief, nothing about hope, nothing about regret. They don't know anything about the conversations people have with themselves after everyone else has gone home. I mean, imagine if mirrors reflected thoughts instead of faces. Imagine walking past one and seeing every fear, one for every dream, another every kindness, and then every cruelty. Just floating around your reflection. I think if that were the case, people would spend far less money fixing their appearance and considerably more time repairing themselves. Perhaps that's why people avoid silence. Silence is the closest thing we have to an honest mirror. It doesn't show your face. It shows your habits. The thoughts that return again and again and again. Curious little things, thoughts, they are. Have you noticed? They rarely arrive one at a time. One thought never knocks politely. It arrives carrying friends. I forgot to send that message, which becomes, I wonder if they're upset, which becomes, they're probably always upset. And then that, that becomes, perhaps everyone secretly feels that way. And suddenly, a single forgotten message. Well, it's become a life philosophy. The mind is extraordinary. If you give it one loose thread, well then, before morning, it's unraveled the entire jumper. I don't think people suffer because they think too much. I think they suffer because they believe every thought deserves to be believed. I mean, imagine believing every stranger who shouted something at you in the street. Ridiculous. Yet people, they do exactly that, just inside their own heads. Every whisper becomes evidence. Every fear becomes fact. Every memory becomes identity. No, I failed. Slowly becomes, I am a failure. One unfortunate moment becomes a permanent introduction. Such a terrible bargain. I need you to tell me something. Who decided we were only allowed one identity? Children aren't. Children become astronauts before breakfast, then pirates after lunch, and dragons before bedtime. Nobody questions them. Nobody says, just choose one. Somewhere, adulthood mistakes consistency for wisdom. As though changing your mind were a weakness. I've never understood that. It goes back to what I've said about nature. Trees change. The seas change. The weather changes. Even mountains change. Only very slowly. Why should people like you, like me, be the only thing in nature to remain exactly the same. Perhaps growth has been misunderstood. People imagine growth means adding something like more knowledge, more confidence, more success. I wonder if growth is actually subtraction, removing fear, removing shame, removing borrowed opinions, until eventually all that's left is the person who is quietly waiting underneath. They do sit there quietly, waiting. Do you know, I think loneliness, it begins long before people are alone. It begins the moment they believe the real version of themselves wouldn't be accepted. And that's exhausting. I mean, imagine spending decades introducing everyone to someone who doesn't actually exist. I mean, no wonder people are tired. They're living two lives. The one everyone applauds, and the one nobody sees. The funny thing is, I don't think people really want perfection. I think they want permission. Permission to be uncertain. Permission to change. Permission to admit, I don't know. I like those words. Perhaps that's why strangers sometimes tell each other the truth more easily than friends. A stranger has no expectations to disappoint. No version of you they've grown attached to. Strangers, they simply meet whoever arrives. Isn't that beautiful? To be met instead of remembered. I've said before, I don't want to be remembered. I wonder if that's why the night feels kinder than the day. The day remembers who you're supposed to be. The night, it forgets. The night, it doesn't care about your job or your reputation or the mistakes you made 10 years ago. The night simply says, sit, breathe. You've carried enough. Oh, wondrous night, envelop me like a blanket of love. And perhaps that's what masks have been trying to do all along. Protect us. Not deceive us, no. Protect us. After all, the mask, it isn't always the lie. Sometimes it's armor. And this armor, it's useful. But it's only useful until you forget how to take it off. And then, well, then the armor, it starts wearing you. And that's when people, they begin confusing survival with living. Maybe before you close your eyes tonight, ask yourself one question. Just a small little question. Not, who am I? No. You could never ask that. The question is, well, it's too large, too heavy. Instead, you need to ask yourself, what part of me have I forgotten to introduce to the world? I think that's what brought us here. You don't have to answer this question tonight. No. That would be too quick, too easy. The best questions, they're patient. They'll still be waiting tomorrow evening. And of course, we can wait until then. For now, though, sleep well, or as well as you can. I'll still be here when the night has its questions again. And if you've got this far, why not subscribe? Spread the word.